Hey, what's up, guys? Today we're going to talk about OnShape. So in class, we have already discussed how you're going to log into OnShape using ClassLink. And once you're in OnShape here, the first thing that's going to happen is it's going to ask you for some defaults. So I'm going to splice in a quick little video about the defaults right now, and then we'll start talking about what happens after you've done that.
When you go to set your defaults the very first time you open up OnShape, you want to make sure that you just leave the defaults there. We're going to be working with inches, and we're going to go to the thousandth place of decimals. Angles are degrees, again, the thousandth of a degree. And then mass or weight is going to be pound, and again, to the thousandth. We also want to leave the mouse controls default for OnShape. We're going to talk about how to use these controls both with the mouse and the trackpad this year. So we'll get into that a little bit later. And then you're also going to set your nickname up, okay? So when you go in here, please put your name associated with this. I prefer your first and your last name, please. Then it's just going to make sure that you're checking your browser. You cannot be using Internet Explorer to make this work.
Okay. So you've set your defaults, you're into OnShape right now, and you're looking at a screen that looks something like this here. Okay, you might see right now in the name something that says 4.1 Intro to OnShape. That's what this lesson is going to be utilizing today. And Mr. McDermott has shared something with me in the exact same way that I've shared 4.1 Intro to OnShape with you. So I want to show you guys how we're going to make a copy of this document so that you can use it throughout the lesson. So again, you would click on 4.1 Intro to OnShape or whatever it is that you want to make a copy of. So at this point, I've shared this document with you in a way that it can only be viewed. It can't be edited or anything else, okay? But I've also given you the ability to make a copy of this document, which you will be able to edit. Okay, so again, if you're in 4.1 right now, this is what you'd be looking at, something similar to this. We're going to go to the top left corner here, and we're going to find the three bars or the hamburger. I'm going to select the hamburger, and I'm going to click on Copy Workspace, okay? It's going to make a copy of this, and you could call it, in your case, like 4.1 Intro to OnShape Copy. You could, that's probably good. Let's just leave it at copy. So we're going to say, okay, the lesson here. So pause the video for a second, make a copy of Intro to 4.1 OnShape, and when you're at the point where you see all of the tools across the top and the spacer block, unpause and come back again. Okay, so now you should all have a copy of 4.1 Intro to OnShape. Again, you should see all of these tools across the top, not just the tools across the bottom. Okay, if the tools across the bottom is still a read-only document and you need to come up, you need to make a copy of the workspace. So once we're within here, let's first start talking about view manipulation. Okay, so on the right side here we have the cube. Okay, and we can click the front view. We can also turn to see different bits there. We also can click on the corners, like this corner here, to get like a traditional isometric view where it's 30 degrees, vertical lines. We can see the top, the front, and the right side. We also could select like this isometric view where we can see the left side, the front, and the top, or we could select like an isometric view from the bottom where we can see the bottom, the front, and the left side, and so on and so forth. So sometimes when you're going from like the front to maybe like the right side, you're going to have to jump to the isometric view first so that you can go there like that. You also can click this button and it will start to rotate the object around, and we can talk about that a little bit more here as well. So as far as zooming in and out, I would recommend that everybody, if you have a mouse at home, which if you look at my picture-in-picture right now, if you have a mouse at home, a mouse is ideal for CAD. You can have your hand on your mouse, you can have a hand on your keyboard, and you can control your your system like really well like that. But not everybody's going to have a mouse at home. So sometimes, like, some of you are going to be using a trackpad to control this thing, all right? So if you have a mouse, the center scroll wheel, when you have your icon, your cursor in the window, when you pull back, it's going to zoom out. And when you push forward, it's going to zoom in, okay? Now, I have a Chromebook here. You can't see my Chromebook output, but for those of you who are using a trackpad on a Chromebook, you're going to just place 2 fingers on your trackpad, and when you push up, you're going to zoom in, and when you pull back, you're going to zoom out. Okay, so if you're using your trackpad right now, practice zooming in and out on your document. Just set 2 fingers on there. Don't click. Just set 2 fingers on. When you pull down, it's going to zoom out, and when you push up, it's going to zoom in. Okay, so that's zooming. To pan, which means to like move the object to the left, to the right, to the up, to the down. In order to do that, if you were on like a traditional mouse, you would click your wheel down and you would hold it, and then you would move that back and forth. Okay, on a Chromebook trackpad, what you're going to do is you're going to take 3 fingers and you have to click. So you're going to push down on your trackpad while your finger is in the middle. And if you don't click all 3 fingers at the same time, it might give you some issues. So sometimes you might have to try like twice. But when you click down with 3 fingers on the trackpad, you should be able to pan or move your object around in the exact same manner. Okay. The last thing that we need to know about how to control with like the mouse and adjusting our object is how to orbit our object. So again, if you have a mouse and if you do a right click, okay, so the right side of the mouse here, if you click on that, then you can rotate your object around into different orientations. Now this is great for like quick little views from one side to the other side. Typically, I prefer to use like the cube, but like say that I wanted to go to the right, I could go from the front, I could toggle here, and then I could select, sorry, I'm trying to do this on then I could select my right view and I'd be there. For those of you, again, on the, let's see here, Shift and 1 is front. For those of you who are on a Chromebook, in order to orbit, you're going to click with 2 fingers. So instead of just setting 2 fingers on your trackpad, you're going to push down, and then you can orbit that thing around. And again, if like one finger pushes down before the second finger pushes down, it might give you an issue. So like if you see something come up like a box, either an orange box or a blue box, it's because you only clicked with 1 finger to begin with. So just concentrate on clicking both fingers at the same time, and then the orbit will work fine as well. So a couple of the other things that we can do for view manipulation is some shortcuts. Okay, so shortcuts can be found under the Learning Center. I believe. Oh no, I'm sorry, under the question mark. So keyboard shortcuts. This is a huge list of shortcuts, and I don't expect you guys to memorize all these things. However, it is going to be pretty helpful, especially for your views. So our views are down here. And when we take a look at this, we can say like Shift 1 for a front view, Shift 2 for a back view, Shift 4 for a right view, Shift 5 for a top view, and Shift 7 for an isometric view. So realistically, Shift 7 is the one that I would probably use the most personally, and then I'd use my cube. So my keyboard's going to kind of be crooked here, so apologies for that. I'm trying the best I can. But in order to make this thing happen here, if I wanted to go to like my front view, I could hold Shift and the 1 key, and that would bring me to my front view. Or I could hit Shift, and here I can probably... look at that. Nice. So Shift and 7 will output my isometric mode. So that's really great for me because my isometric mode gets me to a lot of the things that I need. Like if I want to look at my top view, I can easily select that. If I now want to go to my front view, I can go to that. But also getting used to, again, your shortcuts here are super helpful. And you always know what view you're in because it tells you here. So here, when I hit Shift and 6, it's the bottom view. Shift and 7 is the top. Shift and 4 is the right. Shift and 3 is the left. Shift and 2 is back. And Shift and 1 is front. And again, Shift and 7 is the isometric view where I can see all of that stuff. Okay, so that's pan, rotate, or orbit, and zoom. Okay, and both like using a mouse and using a Chromebook. The next thing I kind of want to show you guys is just like, let's just create a little sketch on this thing real quick. Okay, so we're just going to put a circle and like a hole through the side. So in order to do that, we can go to Sketch and we can select the side view. Okay, now this is something that's a little confusing about this program. We are already in the sketch. Okay, we're in Sketch 3. If you click the check mark, you're going to get out of Sketch 3. But we're really like not in the right view to be drawing in Sketch 3. We're trying to draw on the right side of the object. We're still in the isometric view. So because we want to draw on the right side, whatever view we want to draw on, that's the thing that we should click on over here. So I want to draw on the right, so I'm going to push the right side. So we're looking at this object now, and you know, instead of a circle, let's put a square in here. Okay, so we're going to come up to here. We're going to select the corner rectangle tool. You also can simply hit the G key. Okay, and to get out of a tool, we're going to hit the escape key. Okay, so G key brings me into a corner rectangle. So when I'm going to go to create a rectangle, I'm going to click and let go. And then I'm going to bring my rectangle, or like this is going to be a square, down, and I'm going to click again and let go. So when I go to type, I'm going to start editing. So I haven't really clicked anything else. I clicked once to start, once again here. Now I can just type a 1 and hit enter, and I can hit 1 and hit enter also, and that will size my square. Now let's say that I made a mistake and I didn't do that at first. That's not a problem. We can go up to the dimension tool, which is right here. Okay, it's also the D key. Okay, and shortcuts are so much better. So when I select the dimension tool, I can select this line and I clicked and let go. I'm going to come up here and I'm going to click and let go, and I'm going to change the dimension. That can be 1 inch. I selected the line there. I can also select like 2 endpoints. So I can select that endpoint there and that one there, and I can change that to be 1 inch as well. Okay, and I can also position this piece so that when I hit the D key to dimension, I can select, say, like this line and this line. So that's a third way to be able to select pieces. And I can drop a dimension here as well. So I think, let's see here, this is 2.5. That's 1, so it's 1.5. So 0.75, we'll put this thing in the middle. Okay, so I have 3/4 of an inch at the top. And when I go to select these 2 lines here, I can say that this is going to be 0.25 inches, which again centers that. So if I want to go dimension the opposite side, which a lot of you might find yourselves trying to do, and you go to like set this as being bigger than it should be, it's going to give you an error. Okay, and that's because the amount of space that is required for 3 plus 1 plus 0.25 is too much, right? It's like 4 1/4. This thing is only 1.5 inches wide, so it's like, hey, you can't do that. There's an error here, okay? And that error is that I've just created this dimension, which is unnecessary. Okay, it's an unnecessary dimension. It's over constraining the object. So again, we've dimensioned this block. Try that on yours. And then when you're done drawing it, we're going to click the check mark. And again, I'm going to go into isometric by saying Shift and 7. And now that I'm over here, I'm going to go to the Extrude button, which I can either click up here or I can say Shift E. Okay, and now I can select this object, and I can either have it add an inch to the object, or I can have it remove an inch from the object, so it's actually like cutting out a slot there. But yeah, so let's have it remove actually. So click the remove button, and we'll just cut that in, and we're going to click the checkbox. Okay. Now, that's some basic stuff. Let's go through and edit a few little bits of this. Okay, so like let's change the length of this object. So if you look over here, we have 3 sketch planes. The first sketch plane, when I double click on this sketch, was simply just the size of the rectangle. The second thing that I did in my second sketch plane was I produced this like inside piece, and I cut that away. And then in the third sketch, you guys just created this box, and you've cut that away as well. So let's say again that I want to edit the length of this object. What I'm not trying to do is I don't want to edit my extrusion because that's really like how thick this thing is. I'm going to edit my sketch, so I'm going to double click on sketch, and instead of it being 4 inches, let's say that this thing is only 2.5 inches. Let's just make it a square instead of a rectangle. Okay, and now we've created this object that's a square in the front here. Okay, and again, there's 3/4 of an inch all the way around this. So let's say now that we're going to edit the back piece here. So in order to make this thing go deeper, which we're going to make it 2.5 inches deep to turn this into a cube, that was done in extrusion 1. I took like a rectangle and I extruded it out 1.5 inches. Here we're going to change this number to be 2.5 right here in depth. Okay, and that's going to be how far this thing comes out at us. So we're going to click the checkbox. Okay, now we've created this rectangle thing. And now we're going to reposition where this lands in the back. Okay, and we're going to center this. So let's go into extrusion, I'm sorry, not extrusion 3. Let's go into sketch 3. So we're going to double click on sketch 3. And instead of this thing being set to 0.25, we're going to set this to be 0.75. Okay, and center it in this 2.5 inch object. And we are going to come out of that. Okay, and the one last thing that we need to do is this first object isn't cut through far enough. Okay, this first hole here. So we're just going to edit that real quick and make that go all the way through one last time. And that object in the middle there was created in sketch 2. Okay, so sketch 2, we created the box. But it's actually the depth of the extrusion that is incorrect. If we want this thing to go all the way through, then what we're going to do is we're going to double click on extrusion 2, which is where that was created. And we're going to change this to be 2.5 inches. Check. Okay, so at the end of this object, your front view, it should go all the way through. Your right side view, which again, you can click isometric and then go to right, or you can click F7 to go to isometric. I'm sorry, Shift and 7 to go to isometric. And then we can click on the right. We should see this box, 1 inch by 1 inch box in the center, but it should not go all the way through. It should stop once it hits this piece here, and that's going to kind of form a T when I'm selecting that there. The top and the bottom are going to be whole. Okay? So at this point now, you're going to turn this document back into me so that I can just like check your work. So you're going to go to share. And in here, you're going to type in brian.ashline@nccsk12.org. Okay, and you should give me edit access and you're going to share it. I can't share it with myself because on myself. But you're going to share it with me, and then that way I can check your work. Another thing that's okay, so once again here, after you're done sharing that, then you're going to be done for today. But just let's review really quick what we've talked about today. We've talked about how we zoom in and out. So zooming again is going to be 2 fingers on your trackpad up and down, or it's going to be your mouse wheel up and down. Okay. Pan is going to be 3 fingers on your trackpad, click it down, and then you can move back and forth. Remember, your mouse needs to be inside of your OnShape window for that to work to begin with. So 3 fingers will pan while you're clicking. 2 fingers, when you click, will orbit your object. When we go to create a sketch, we're going to say sketch, and we're going to select a surface. We always want to make sure that we move to that surface before we start sketching. We end our sketch by clicking the checkbox at the end, and then we can do things like extrude from there. If we want to delete a sketch, which is new, but I can just right click over here and say delete. If we also talked about shifting our views by using the cube, okay, or by using things like shift and 1 or shift and 7. We also talked about how we can go through and edit sketches that we've created already. So we can go back, in my case, but again, you're not going to do this, back to getting rid of these pieces here. And like edit things like extrusions and change them back to 1.5 inches or whatever we want to be able to edit. We can change, again, sketches and edit how that works. Or again, we can change extrusion so that it's done right. Okay? So either way, those are the things that we've really discussed today. Oh, saving it automatically saves. Okay, so you don't have to worry about that. You can go up to share again, and you're going to share with brian.ashline@nccsk12.org, and that will be 4.1. Make sure to hit the turn in button on 4.1 when you're done, even though you're not turning anything in on Google Classroom. Okay, bye-bye.